At the time of recording, it is a Wednesday, November the 3rd, 2021. And welcome to my channel. My name is James and I cover quite a lot about China. More recently, over the last 19 months, about the Three Gorges, and that will be on a separate video for today. The Three Gorges, at this time of year, no floods are coming there. There's nothing really to write and report about. But there is a ton of things which are happening in China. There was one video on YouTube from the Barrett channel yesterday saying that in China, freedom doesn't exist. And the answer to this is yes and no. What freedom isn't there in China? I would say the first one, and top of the list, is freedom to vote. You can't choose the leader of your country. It is chosen for you by the CCP. And at the moment, a president or leader of China, called the General Secretary, can only stay in power for 8 years. But the leader at the moment, Xi Jinping, has stayed in power longer. He said, I'm going to be the king, the emperor of China until I am unable, near enough. Why didn't he concede to how it is before? Well, in 2020, when there should have been a new president, general secretary, leader of the country, if it happened, basically, you could have said, well, he created too many enemies and he would be knocked off. So there's no vote in China. So that is your freedom to choose the leader. The other one, there are so many different things, and Chinese people may think of this differently, and this is something I sort of did agree about on the video. That is a different style of freedom. In China, you don't have the freedom of free speech. You can't go on social media and talk about, again, the CCP. You'll get a knock at 4 o'clock in the morning from the, you could say, dark police and say, come to the police station for a cup of tea. You're going to be arrested for saying that. You can't do it. Unlike the West, you can say anything you want about Boris Johnson, for example. You can you can do this on social media. But also in this video, he went on to say that the social media controls the world. Well, I totally disagree with that. We remember Donald Trump used to do lots of tweets, which is fine. Twitter is a private company. It's not a public company, it's just private. And Donald went against the guidelines, like you and I, if we went against the guidelines on YouTube, it would be taken down because it's a private company. They make it fair and square according to their own guidelines. It's a private company. That's what you can't do in China. You can't have children if you're not married. You can't have same-sex marriage in China. It's still frowned upon if you are lesbian, gay, transgender, whatever. People will frown upon you if you wear something a little bit, hold on, bunny rabbit ear time, a little bit too sexy. They will think you're a lady of the night, so to speak. While in the West, people will just think, well, it's a girls' night out, so to speak. You can't have more than 3 children in China. Not that people want to, because raising a child in China is not a cheap pastime. So they stick with the 1-child policy from before, the 2-child policy, and now the 3. But they can't have 4, 5, or 6. They can, but they would have to usually pay a hefty fine. I do know one person who, in the 1-child policy days, did have 2 kids, and she had to pay 25,000 American dollars, or the equivalent of that amount of money. That freedom. Protests. You can protest if you have a license to do so. And as I mentioned yesterday on my channel, 5 people were protesting on June the 4th this year in Hong Kong. They didn't have a license, they were talking about the incident in 1989, the anniversary of, but they took it down. Note the Global Times is a national newspaper, an online newspaper, or Global Times, or China Daily, or Digital Times, or Xinhua News, all say is run by the state media. Anything has to go through them. So it can be, in a way, propaganda. So the freedom of the press is done now through Marxism. It has to be done that way. If not, well, bye-bye. You go to a little bit of prison, or a little bit of prison time. Chinese people, in the way of what they do have freedom, is that they can move around their country. It is a lot better than, you could say, the days of Mao or the very early days of capitalist China, where they can travel near enough anywhere they want to go to. You can have a passport, forget about COVID, but you can travel to different places, so to speak. You can go to Thailand, you don't need a visa. Japan, you can go to the country of Taiwan. Did I say country of Taiwan? Yes, I did. There. So that is freedom. So before, it was very difficult to go from town to town. You would need to get special permission from the police, etc., etc. So those kind of freedoms, and you don't have that freedom to, if you're upset, you just get on with it, because life is far too complicated if you complain. So, and people just don't talk about it. They just say, this is how it is. It's not going to change. There's nothing we can do. And being a bit selfish, yep, I would say some people are selfish, more so than others. They get on with their own life the best they can. Internet, you can't, like in China, go to Facebook. It's banned. YouTube. Legally, you can for a VPN, but a VPN is a private network, private virtual network, a VPN, virtual private network, and it's a grey area. The Chinese government, they do accept it, they sort of allow it. But when it comes to certain political events, then the VPNs all seem to go down very mysteriously. The Great Chinese Firewall restricts information, freedom of information. So, in China, you are not free compared to the West. Now, I am thinking in a Western point of view. I have been in China. Some of these channels say you know nothing about China if you've never been there, and I totally disagree. You can have Chinese friends, and these people could tell you what it's like, first-hand experience. A lot of these people who do these videos about pro-China, nothing wrong with it, but when they start to tell porcupines and not the whole truth and only part truth, and they only take certain samples from it, then that becomes annoying. And it's just tit for tat. Now, all media, I repeat, all media, yes, BBC, Al Jazeera, ABC, Fox News, they all sometimes stretch the truth in that way. But at least we know, for example, COVID cases in England, 42,000 I checked per day. I don't know in America, but I could easily Google it. But when you go to COVID cases in China, it's not there. And 95% of the world is there, just with their updated COVID numbers. Why? Restricted information. Restricted doesn't mean freedom. If we go to Xinjiang, which is a completely different and very sensitive subject, there is evidence that you can't go there, by the police. We've seen it from The Guardian, we've seen it from Australian press. Not them talking about it, the actual video. Now, I can imagine in other places you go to a sensitive or a secure area, the security says you can't go there, and it's for your own good. This is secret information which makes our world, hopefully, safe. Does China have freedom? Yes and no, but mainly on a Western point of view, no. Chinese point of view, they would say it's a lot better than it was, but I can guess that a lot of people in China, the People's Republic of China, note it's the People's Republic of China, not Xi Jinping's Republic of China, they would like to have more freedom, but I can say they're not going to get it. Another reason could be the population. Controlling 1.4 billion people is not a piece of cake. It's food for thought, but there is no freedom in China as much as you have in the United States in any way, shape or form, or in the world in any way, shape or form as you have. My name is James, just a point of view, and do like, if you like, do subscribe, that really helps the channel, and write a comment below if you agree or disagree. I will be doing some polls in a little bit later on the community, and you can find that going to my homepage, but I will leave you with a happy day wherever you are in the world. Bye-bye.